Good evening, everyone. I am Dimka Jubilee, the host for 2026 Democracy Day, and I am moderating for this round. I'm moderating for this round for the topic. This house believes that representative democracy is preferable over direct democracy for emerging democracies. We have proposition team from White Cloud College, Abakaliki, and opposition team Government Secondary School, Shabu-Lafia. I'll invite the first speaker from Team Proposition.
My time starts in 3, 2, 1. Panel of judges. Today's debate is not merely about democracy. It's about countries that are standing at the edge of a cliff. Right now, across the world, there are countries and nations that have just stepped out of military rule and dictatorship. And the choices they make about who governs them determines whether or not they move into a stable democracy or whether they fall back straight into the kind of route that they just escaped. These emerging democracies share a common starting point: weak institutions, limitation of civic education, political instability, ethnic and regional tensions, high corruption risk, and low administrative capacity. These are not random problems. These are the direct legacy of years under autocratic or military leadership, where resources were managed inefficiently, freedom was restricted, and the economy was held back by the self-interest of a small ruling group. The question before us today is simple. Given this starting point, which system gives these countries the best chance of moving forward? Representative democracy or direct democracy? On our side of this debate, side proposition chooses representative democracy. Now let's move into our framing. Before we get into our arguments, let us be honest about where this country are even coming from in the first place. Most emerging democracies did not choose democracy on a whim. They attained it through mass protest, international pressure, or the death of an autocrat who never intended to hand over power willingly. This tells us that democracy in these nations are fragile, new, and constantly at risk of being reversed. As proposition, our case shows a few things. 1, what these countries were before democracy. 2, how these countries attained democracy in the first place. And lastly, what is happening in democracy's early stage with all its implications. Representative democracy in this context means citizens voting for people to represent them in government. For a population that has just come out from hardship under dictatorship, this means that citizens are not voting for comfort or charisma. Panya, we need you to understand that these citizens vote critically, rationally, and carefully for their leaders to provide stability, both economically and in terms of security, and who is strong enough to push back against attempts and against any attempt of authoritarian rule. The goal at this stage is not a perfect democracy. The goal is the survival of the democracy itself. Direct democracy, by contrast, means citizens voting on every issue and every law themselves without representatives sitting permanently in a national assembly to hold the line. That means that there is no standing body whose job is to speak when there is an overreach of power or when something goes wrong. It also means a far higher chance of electoral malpractice, because every single vote on every single issue becomes a fresh opportunity for manipulation with no institutional body watching in between. Emerging democracy can be seen as a country that has only recently transitioned away from military rule, one-party rule, or dictatorship, and is still in the process of building the institutions, culture, and trust that democracy depends on. It is defined less by how long it has held elections and more by how fragile and incomplete its democratic foundations still are. Now let's move into my arguments. Argument 1. Representative democracy builds the institutional buffer needed to prevent a relapse into autocracy. How is this argument true? In a representative democracy, elected officials sit permanently in a national assembly. Their job every day is to scrutinize the executive and speak up the moment something looks like an overreach of power. This is a standing body in place, always watching. In a direct democracy, citizens only act when a vote is called, and in between votes, no one's role is to resist a a leader quietly accumulating power. Citizens who have lived through dictatorship knows this, and which is why early elections often favor candidates who appear strong enough economically and security-wise to stand up to any resurgence of authoritarian rule. Why is this argument important? This argument matters because it speaks directly to the central stake of this motion. As we set out in our framing, the defining risk of any emerging democracy is sliding back into military autocratic rule. And a system's very first job is to reduce that risk. Representative democracy gives these countries a permanent built-in line of defense, while direct democracy gives them only a vote and then silence until the next one. At this formative stage, survival of democracy is what matters most and not perfection. Argument 2. Representative democracy matches the real capacity of emerging democracies, while direct democracies assumes capacity that they do not have. Why is this argument true? Emerging democracies are recovering from years of mismanagement, weaker economies, underdeveloped digital infrastructure, and many more. Populations are often divided along ideological, ethnic, or regional lines with varying education and access to information. Representative democracy allows for specialization. Citizens elect people whose job is to study and decide on complex policies. So no individual has to evaluate every motion, every law alone. Direct democracy assumes the exact opposite, that every citizen, regardless of education or access, can make informed decisions on every issue at every time. Why is this argument important? This matters. Why is this argument important? This matters because a system that a country cannot actually run, I'll get back to that, is not a real alternative. It is a theory. Before we can even ask whether direct democracy would be good in principle, we have to ask whether an emerging democracy with its current resources and structure can realistically operate it. Representative democracy is the only one of these two systems that functions within the real limits this country faces today. Everything else the opposition might claim about direct democracy only matters if the system can actually be run, and in an emerging democracy it cannot. Into my last argument, representative democracy embeds safeguards that push the country toward a purer democracy over time. How is this argument true? Representative democracy is not finished on one day. It is a structure that can be shaped and improved. Emerging democracies can deliberately keep political offices financially unattractive, so people are less tempted to seek power for personal enrichment, which matters as a stage where the country is still struggling for survival. Representative democracy also creates the conditions for an independent judiciary, which after years of being silenced under dictatorship can actually speak up against bad governance. And citizens who have lived through dictatorship are less likely to sell their vote because they know exactly what a bad governance looks like. Why is this argument important? This matters because the question in front of us today is which system is perfect. It's not which system is perfect from the start, but which system has the machinery to keep getting better. Representative democracy has that machinery, incentive design, an independent judiciary, and a citizenry that grows more engaged over time. Now, I would like to show ways to make democracy better, and on our side of the house, we have a few models. Model 1, financial independence of INEC through constitutional direct funding. It is charged directly to the consolidated revenue funds. But 2, through the multi-year funding cycle. Lastly, through independent budget prep and protected election fund. Second point on our model 2. Emerging democracies can make the seats of government unattractive by cutting down the salaries of lawmakers, reducing the allowances, stipends, and reducing the level of glory attached to their seats. By so doing, people are less incentivized to move into the seats of government in order to embezzle money or for selfish reasons. This is a better way of ensuring that those people who assume the seat of leadership are selfless. Your POI.
Is by ensuring a financial independence of INEC, right? So what do you say of Nigeria, a country that has been practicing emerging democracy for the past 27 years, and we still find that problem? How do you think your reform is going to kind of solve that problem when it has not been able to do so through the past 27 years?
These models are new and it has not been applied. We brought these models to be able to be applied in such representative democracies to aid ways corruption can be reduced. Back to my speech. Model 3, putting a sanction to defection to ensure political stability, especially when those defections are characterized by Godfather syndrome or selfishness. In conclusion, we have shown you where emerging democracies are coming from: a legacy of weak institutions, limited civic education, and constant risk of authoritarian relapse. Against that backdrop, representative democracy gives this country a standing defense against a return to dictatorship, a system that actually matches what these countries can run today and builds a machinery to keep improving over time. With that, we are proud to propose. Thank you.
That was an awesome speech from First Speaker Team Proposition. Now I'll call First Speaker Team Opposition for his presentation.
If my judges are ready, I begin in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, today is the 12th of June, Nigerians Democracy Day. The day we remember that democracy is not just a system of governance, it is a promise made to every Nigerian citizen that their voice will matter, that their consent will be required, that power will never permanently escape their reach. It is deeply fitting that on this day, this specific day, we are debating which democratic system best serves emerging democracies, because Nigeria is not just our case study, Nigeria is our evidence, Nigeria is our warning, Nigeria is our reason. Panel, let me be unambiguous from the outset. The opposition is not here to abolish democratic architecture. We are not removing the National Assembly or handing every citizen a law book saying, govern yourselves. Not at all. We are here to defend the people that system was built to serve. The same people whose democracy we are celebrating today and who deserve more from it than they have received. Panel, the motion asks whether representative democracy is preferable over direct democracy for emerging democracies. The key word that decides this entire debate is one word: preferable, not perfect. Not flawless, preferable. A comparative conceptual judgment about which system is better suited to the specific conditions of democracies still developing, still fragile, still fighting for that promise to mean something real. The second anchor is emerging democracies. Not America, not Britain, no, not at all. Not advanced nations with centuries of consolidated democratic culture. We are thinking of countries like Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, and Indonesia. When proposition cites advanced democracies as proof, the answer remains simple. That is not what this motion is about. Now, what is the judging lens in this argument? This debate has one central question. In a democracy where institutions are still weak, where representatives operate without sufficient constraints, and where citizens are excluded from decisions that determine their survival, which system actually moves citizens from spectators to stakeholders? Hold every argument to that very question, panel. That is the only question that matters in this debate today. Now, what is team opposition stance? Representative democracy in our world inserts a middleman between citizens and their governance. In mature democracies, that middleman is controlled by independent courts, free press, and political culture built over generations. But in an emerging democracy, those constraints are weak or even captured, panel. And when constraints disappear, the middleman stops representing, and what happens? He starts ruling. Citizens vote once and surrender their vote for 4 full years. 4 years in which godfathers operate, 4 years in which devastating politics are enacted without citizens' content. Panel, that 4-year silence is not just a feature of representative democracy. In emerging democracies, it is fatal flaw. Now, what is our model? We're establishing representation. We are not abolishing representation. No, we don't do that in direct democracies. Representation still draft legislation, coordinates governance, and manage administration. What changes is this, and listen carefully, on decisions of significant national impact, citizens hold direct approval authority, security policy, energy, constitutional amendment, taxation, the decisions that determine how people live go to the people for approval before becoming law. Representatives design the blueprint. Citizens approve it before constructions begin. Implementation is realistic. NIM-based digital voting, USSD access for non-smartphone users. 87% mobile penetration means this infrastructure already exists, panel. And we suggest civic education strongly embedded into the national curriculum, covering all gaps that proposition have risen. First, implementation on highest impact decisions. Votes as digitally. Estonia votes online. The technology already exists. The only question was never capability, it was the political will. Now I proceed with my argument. Representative democracy creates an accountability vacuum. Direct democracy is strictly eliminated. Now, the mechanism is very much precise. Citizens elect a representative. That representative makes decisions. Citizens evaluate him 4 years later. Imagine 4 years, and we are talking of democracy. Panel, in mature democracies, functioning institutions fill that gap. But we are talking of emerging democracies here. Since institutions are too weak to fill it, in emerging democracies, for 4 years, the representatives operate unchecked. The evidence, panel, is so much devastating. Now look at Nigeria. In 2023, no citizens voted for fuel subsidy removal, no referendum, no consultation. One decision collapsed the purchasing power of over 200 million people overnight. Petrol prices tripled. Food inflation surged past 33%. One representative, no citizen mandates, no institutional check, strong enough to stop him. In Kenya, we see the Finance Bill 2024. Yes, please.
You keep on using Nigeria as an example when you're considering the emerging democracies. But Nigeria is not an emerging democracy. It has had infrastructures for democracies for a long period of time. And what you keep on doing is that you keep on using it as an example, but it's not an emerging democracy. It did not just leave military rule. It did not just
Actually, the
leave
need for that
autocracy.
question will have not arisen if your first speaker proposition had come to give us your team stance on that word emerging democracies. And we use Nigeria as our case study, not because it is the only nation practicing, the only nation with an emerging democracy, but it is one of those nations and it is our nation. But that's not all where I'm only focusing on. Now, as I was proceeding with my arguments, in Kenya, the Finance Bill 2024 triggered a citizen uprising so intense that protesters stormed parliament itself. They were doing what no formal mechanism had permitted, exercising direct democratic pressure on decisions affecting their survival. The citizens were right. The system had failed them. This part and panel is not coincidental. It is structural, and under our model, those decisions require citizen approval first, not because citizens are perfect economics, because the people who live with the consequences deserve a voice in making the decision. Panel. In emerging democracies where institutional controls have consistently failed, direct democracies, continuous accountability is structural correction representative democracy cannot provide. That makes it much more preferable than what we see from side proposition. Now, secondly, direct democracies built in civic culture emerging democracies desperately needs. Representative democracy perpetuates the civic passivity, keeping them fragile. Why do emerging democracies remain emerging? Not because citizens are incapable, because the system never required them to be capable. Representative democracy outsources governance to specialists. Vote once, disengage, thrust the representative. That's what we see in side proposition board. Political literacy becomes optional, and so democratic cultures with us. Nigeria 2023 presidential election, 29% voters turnout, less than 1 in 3 eligible citizens participated. Pakistan in 2024, 48% despite enormous political tension. These are not failures of citizens, they are failures of a system that gave citizens no genuine stake between elections. Direct democracy inverts this entirely. When Nigerians vote directly on the security budget, government must explain what that budget means. When citizens vote on constitutional amendment, political literacy stops being charity and becomes a system survival requirement. Switzerland built direct participation into its political culture during its formation as a modern state in the 1840s panel, not after achieving stability. The direct democracy don't follow the stability, it produced it. Panel. The most important investment for emerging democracy is not better representative, it is better citizens. Direct democracy makes that a system requirement. Representative democracy makes it optional. The difference is everything. Now, let's compare the three words. In the status quo, we see representative democracy with weak institutional constraints, 4-year accountability vacuums, citizens excluded, democratic culture fragile. Nigeria's verdict after 27 years. The Chatham House, one of the world's most prestigious independent foreign policy think tanks, founded in 1920, ranked consistently among the top 3 most influential think tanks globally, and whose governance assessments are referenced by the African Union and even the World Bank, concludes that Nigerian democracy is fragile, fluctuating and captured by an entrenched corrupt political class with dwindling electoral participation and shrinking civil liberties. That is not our model at all, panel of advocates. Now let us take a look at the proposition model, which I call the status quo with much intention and no implementation that ensures a structural balance. Representative democracy preserved and reformed, but reformed by the same representatives who benefit from its weaknesses. The politicians who remove subsidies via referendum are being asked to design a system requiring them to hold back. That reform is captured before it begins. But come to our own world, where citizens hold direct approval authority, citizens draft and implement, citizens approve direction, technology enables participation, civic engagement ensures informed participation. Democratic culture builds from the ground up, and not because we hope it would, but because the system structurally demands it. Panel. Today on Democracy Day, Nigeria does not need a celebration of system that has delivered 27 years of fragile, fluctuating, captured democracy. Nigeria needs an honest conversation about what happens next. The proposition asks you to trust this nation's future and all other emerging democracies to whoever wins the next election. In a system that has given citizens no meaningful voice between elections for 27 years, we ask something different. We ask you to build a democracy where the promise of the 12th of June is not just remembered once a year, but lived every single day by every single citizen in every single decision that governs their lives. Panel. Direct democracy does not promise perfection. It promises what representative democracy and emerging democracies has consistently failed to deliver. A system where citizens are not just the audience of democratic power, they are its permanent, structured, constitutionally protected source. The motion, panel, it falls and it fails as its own impracticality. Our world is the modern one, it's the realistic one, and the proposition is proud to stand. And I am proud to propose the best way out to Nigeria and all other emerging democracies out there suffering from this same ordeal. I rest my case.
That was a wonderful speech from first speaker team opposition from Government Secondary School Shabu. Now I will call second speaker team proposition from White Cloud for our presentation.
My time will start in 3, to 1. I stand proudly as the second speaker for the proposition to strongly support the motion before this House. Before proceeding, let us be clear about what this debate is actually about. It is not about which system allows most direct participation. It is not about which system sounds more democratic, but it is about which system is preferable for emerging democracies. Emerging democracies are countries that just came out of dictatorship and military rule. Therefore, throughout the debate, we ask one question. Therefore, which system is most likely to be informed, to produce informed decision making, effective governance, strong institutions, and democratic survival? Because a democracy that cannot govern effectively will eventually struggle to survive. My first speaker already laid the foundation of our case, and my job is to rebut the opposition arguments and state why we win this debate. On my first rebuttal, I have direct democracy is more democratic. The motion before this House is not asking which system is more democratic in theory. It asks which system is preferable for emerging democracies. The word preferable requires us to evaluate the outcomes. Which system produces better governance? Which system creates stronger institutions? Which system promotes stability and development? The opposition focuses on participation. We focus on democratic success. A system may involve more people while still producing worse decisions. A system may be able to direct while still weakening democratic institutions. Therefore, direct democracy being more democratic does not automatically make it preferable. Having no justice to that, my third speaker will be able to extend their case. On my first argument, we have the complexity of lawmaking makes direct democracy impractical and less effective. The opposition assumed that citizens can directly participate in lawmaking. However, they never explain how this could realistically happen. Modern lawmaking is an extremely complex process. Before a bill becomes law, it passes through multiple stages of scrutiny, debate, and amendment. A bill is introduced, it undergoes first reading, a second reading, committee scrutiny, further consideration and amendment, a third reading, and eventually final approval and assent. At every stage, lawmakers are expected to identify loopholes, analyze consequences, examine unintended effects, and evaluate long-term impacts. Why is this true? Because law affects millions of people. A poorly written law can damage an economy, undermine rights, or create serious governance problems. This is why modern democracies do not simply pass laws based on first impressions. They require extensive scrutiny. Now, the opposition must explain something. How exactly are millions of citizens supposed to participate meaningfully in all these stages? Will everyone debate in an amendment? Will everyone analyze every clause? Will everyone attend to committee discussions? We do not think so. The moment the opposition accepts that a smaller group must perform these functions, they move closer to our model of representative democracy. But let us assume a second scenario. Suppose representatives still conduct all the analysis and deliberation while citizens all vote at the end. Even then, the opposition faces a major contradiction. The people who spent most studying law are not the people making the final decisions. Instead, the final decisions rest in the hands of millions of citizens who may never participate in detailed deliberation. That simply does not make logical sense. The second problem is the complexity of constitutions and legislation itself. Many constitutions provisions are highly technical. I'll take that later. Many clauses contain exceptions, qualifications, and designed to address specific legal situations. Even legal experts frequently disagree on the interpretation of laws. Yet the opposition expects entire populations to understand and evaluate these issues before making informed decisions. This expectation is particularly unrealistic in emerging democracies. Many citizens face barriers such as poverty, unequal access to education, lost civic literacy, and limited access to information. The opposition must therefore prove that millions of citizens will possess both the time and expertise necessary to evaluate highly technical legislation. We do not believe that they can meet to that burden. Why is this important? Because the quality of decisions determines the quality of governance. When laws are poorly understood, society becomes more vulnerable to misinformation, manipulation, and emotional decision making. When decisions are poorly made, institutions become weaker. When institutions become weaker, democracy itself becomes more fragile. The impact, therefore, is very clear. Representative democracy allows qualified representatives to dedicate their time and expertise to understanding complex laws, while remaining accountable to citizens. This leads to better informed decisions, stronger institutions, and more effective governance. On to my second argument, we have representative democracy creates clearer accountability. One of the most important features of any successful successful democracy is accountability. The question is simple today. When things go wrong, who did the citizens hold responsible? Our answer is clear. The opposition's answer is not. Under representative democracy, citizens elect specific individuals to represent them. Those representatives debate laws, they vote on policies, they make decisions on behalf of the society. As a result, responsibility is clearly assigned. When representatives perform poorly, citizens know exactly who is responsible. They know who to criticize, they know who to challenge, and most importantly, they know who to remove from office. Why is this true? Because representatives occupy identifiable positions in the society of authorities. Their actions are public, their voting records are public, their decisions can be examined and evaluated. Citizens therefore know exactly who should answer for success or failure. This creates two powerful reforms of accountability. First, retrospective accountability. When representatives make poor decisions, citizens can punish them at the next election. Political careers can end, parties can lose power. I'll take a election. Representatives can be replaced. And the second is anticipatory accountability. The representatives know that poor performance threatens their political future. They know that failure may cost them re-election. This creates them pressure to perform, the pressure to consult experts, the pressure to understand the policy, the pressure to make responsible decisions. And now compare this to the opposition's world. Under direct democracy, millions of citizens collectively make decisions when a bad law is passed. Who exactly is responsible? Who should the citizens blame? The next issue that I want to deal with is bureaucracy. The opposition presents their world as more democratic because more people are involved in decision making. What they fail to recognize is the more people that you involve in a process, the slower and more bureaucratic that process becomes. The motion is specifically about the legislative arm of government. The reason we elected senators and all of that is because lawmaking requires speed, coordination, expertise, and efficiency. We deliberately delegate responsibility to a small group of people because it would be practically impossible to have millions of citizens directly participate in every legislative decision. Think about the scale. In Nigeria alone, we have over 200 million citizens. In every law decision requires the participation of millions of people. Opposition must explain how decisions will be made quickly and efficiently. Why is this important? I will continue why accountability is important now, panel. Because accountability improves decision making. Decision making and decision makers who know that they will be judged perform more responsibly. Responsible decision making creates stronger institutions. Strong institutions increase public trust, and public trust is essential for democratic survival. The impact therefore is very clear. Our model creates stronger accountability, stronger institutions, and stronger democracies. Their model weakens accountability and weakens democratic governance as well. Panel, before I proceed, I need to make an important clarification that should guide this debate. This motion is specifically about the legislative arm of government. It is about senators, members of the parliament, congressmen, and representatives whose primary responsibility is to make and vote on laws. It is not about the executive arm of government, presidents, governors, or ministers. Therefore, if opposition attempts to talk directly electing presidents or holding executives accountable, they are simply debating a different motion. Now let us engage with accountability. Opposition's biggest concern is that legislators are not accountable enough. However, their solution makes accountability significantly worse. Why? Because accountability works best when responsibility is concentrated in a small and identifiable group of people. In our world, if a bad law is passed, we know exactly who voted it. We know the senators, we know the representatives, we know who to hold responsible. But in their world, we don't, because there are a lot of people. There's a clear change of responsibility in their world. However, millions of citizens become responsible for legislative decisions. If a terrible law is passed, who exactly do we blame? Who do we call out? Who do we vote out? Who bears responsibility for the damage caused? In conclusion, I am proud to propose.
Now I will call second speaker team opposition from government secondary school Shabu-Lafia.
Hello.
Okay. I start my presentation in 3, 2, 1.
Emerging democracies are just finding their footings. Therefore, everybody concerned should be directly involved. Panel of adjudicators, my friends in argument, and my audience, good day and happy Democracy Day to every Nigerian today. Panel, I am Peace Oluwafe from Ayuade, second speaker, team opposition. The motion before the House says we believe that representative democracy is preferable compared to direct democracy for emerging democracies. And for my today's argument, I'll be using Nigeria as my main case study. Team of propositions last speaker gave a POI about Nigeria not being an emerging democracy. But if you do your research well, you will find out that Nigeria is actually a country that is an emerging democracy. Now, Nigeria is an emerging democracy, practicing representative democracy. Representative democracy gave Nigeria over 25 years of pardon. If we practice direct democracy, we give 200 million Nigerians the red pen. My first speaker already established our stance. Proposition first speaker told you representative democracy is safer for emerging states, and I must prove two things. One, how proposition failed to defend representative democracy's record in context of emerging democracies like Nigeria, and second, that our model as team opposition is more preferable, and that our model and impact it's harder than team proposition own does. Panel, judge this round on what emerging democracies need the most. 1. Citizen capacity. 2. Corruption control. 3. Social stability. 4. Sustainability. Compare every clash on these 4 metrics. To begin with, let me re-emphasize our model as team opposition. Our model is to fix the authority hierarchy. NASH retains drafting, but citizens hold final veto on issues: constitution, oil derivation, security, budget, electoral law. Our process: representative draft bill with 60-day public debate. Citizens vote yes or no. If no, bill dies and representatives redraft. If yes, representative implements exactly as voted. Authority is clear: reps administer, citizens veto. And these democracies get 4 referendums per year. In today's debate, still using Nigeria as my case study, proposition can claim that 4 referendums per year will bankrupt INEC. But panel, INEC spent 355 billion naira on election. Our model as team opposition says 4 votes per year max. Faced year 1 to 2 only power issues that cost less than 1 general election, and it replaces 344 billion naira per year of unaccountable NAS spending. To my first point, political capacity. Direct representative declined. Representative creates experts. Direct representative creates experts. Panel, and team propositions representative create dependence. Propositions say direct forces everybody to be a politician. Everybody cannot be a politician, but that is false. Direct democracy makes everyone better at their job. We are not saying we want everybody in Nigeria to become a politician. What we mean is doctors read health budgets because his vote matters. Teachers study education bill because millions weigh his opinion. Panel, let's weigh. Representative system gives emerging democracies better politicians. Direct give better doctors, better teachers, better engineers, better citizens across all fields, including these politicians who understand policy. When your opinion matters, you go the extra mile. Panel, emerging democracies need well-rounded people for political growth at their best. Declined. At their best, proposition gives just better leaders, but we give not just better leaders, but better people, better citizens in all disciplines and across all fields. Furthermore, on economy and corruption control, direct democracies make budget pad political suicidal. Under representative democracy, rep pad budget in committee at 2 a.m. 0 voter seats, political costs 0. Under direct, when 2.2 trillion naira security budget goes to referendum, INEC must publish line-by-line summary in Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, Pidgin, and English for 60 days. The political cost of pardon becomes publicly visible and immediately punishable at next referendum. Our cost, in our case, NAS gets 344 billion naira per year plus 70 billion naira ghost in the status quo project. 70 billion naira GOAT project because political cost is 0. Our 4 referendum in team opposition needs only 320 billion naira and will work adequately because political cost forces transparency. Judges weigh proposition high cost with unsure impact, corruption and inflation compared to our lower cost with adequate impact and growth.
Next, on social stability, propositions say sustained.
Okay. So you talked about how direct democracy leads to experts participating. So I would like to engage with that. That these people from emerging democracies have spent most of their time being restricted from a lot of things. So how are they experts when they necessarily have not had access to things like education for the past few years?
You'll be getting the mechanism of exactly how our model will be working in my presentation. On my social stability, propositions will say that ethnic bloc voting will replicate division. Here's the structural mechanism. In representative democracy in Nigeria, Hausa bloc only needs to win 180 seats to control NAS. Incentive become mobilize your bloc, ignore others. That's how we got zoning fights and lopsided appointments. But in our direct democracy as team opposition, we need 50% plus one of all Nigerians for every issue. No ethnic bloc alone is 50% plus one. Hausa alone is 25%, Igbo 18%, Yoruba 21%. Math forces cross-ethnic persuasion. Incentive shifts from win your bloc to convince the nation. To pass oil law, north side must persuade south side. To pass security budget, south must persuade north. Panel, representative democracy reward ethnic mobilization. Direct democracy rewards national persuasion. That is why Switzerland has 4 languages plus 0 civil war. Panel, wait. In representative democracy, you get ethnic cooperation, but in direct democracy, you get national cooperation. The magnitude of the impact is clear. Again, on sustainability and stability, team proposition asked, can the system run? We are aware that the people are not used to this system, and that is why we propose a transition period. For the first 2 years, we train the people. Year 3 to 5, we ease into the system, grow civic literacy, and begin directness on most issues. And from year 6, citizens and NAS co-legislate all issues. Our destination, more participation, not less. Switzerland didn't try direct democracy for 5 years, then quit. They expanded it from 1874 till today, which shows that it works. Our model deepens over time as citizens get better. We do not create fantasy. We do not say it works immediately. We give a training period to ensure that it works not only adequately but effectively and efficiently. Yeah. Proposition offers permanent stagnation. We offer progressive empowerment. Panel, let's weigh impact. Proposition good is speed. Our good is 200 million experts and transparency and coalition. Let's weigh. They give speed without sure growth. Nigeria, 1999 to 2025. That was what we got. Growth without speed equals nations that do not last. Growth without speed equals nations that are unstable. Let's look at proposition bad. We have their permanent corruption. Our bad as team opposition is just a 2-year learning curve. But this 2-year learning curve is not even that bad because it is education. On their side of proposition, even these politicians get education. We give 2 years education, which leads to longer sustainability and longer growth. Let's weigh temporary pain on team opposition side of 2 years compared to their permanent disease of representative democracy. Mr. Speaker, proposition give emerging democracies a wheelchair called representative democracy and say work. We as team opposition give the gym called direct democracy and we say grow. As Nelson Mandela once said, for to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. Proposition chains to representative dependence. We free nations by making all the best minds rob minds. For the stability, education, empowerment, and growth of emerging democracies, vote team opposition. I rest my case.
That was a very good speech from the second speaker, team opposition. That's from Government Secondary School Shabu-Lafia, Nasarawa State. Now I'll call on the third speaker, team proposition from White Cloud School, Ebonyi, Abakaliki, for his presentation.
My time starts in 3, 2, 1. I rise as the third speaker for side proposition in this debate, and I have three main objectives today. To dismantle the opposition's core arguments. Secondly, to prove exactly where this debate was won. And lastly, to show that we have proved every burden that we were asked to do today. Panel, the opposition wants you to imagine an ideal world where every citizen is informed, where money does not influence outcomes, and where referendums are calm and considered. But that is not the world that emerging democracy is living today. Our case is built on the world as it actually is. Keep that in mind as I go through the rebuttals, because every single one of them comes back to that same point. Panel, the biggest argument you get from side opposition in today's day is direct democracy reflects the true will of the people. Panel, the opposition tells us that direct democracy is better because it lets the people decide for themselves instead of leaving decisions to politicians. But for citizens to vote meaningfully on a law, they need to understand that law. In emerging democracies, many citizens do not have access to the information, the education, or the time needed to study complex policy questions, things like monetary policy, security legislation, or budget allocations. So what happens? People do not vote based on understanding. They vote based on whoever has the loudest, whoever paid them, or whoever shares their ethnic or religious group. That is not the will of the people. That is the will of whoever controls the information. Panel, the second argument you get from side opposition in this debate is direct democracies build civic education and engagement. The opposition said that direct democracy teaches people how to be active citizens because they get to vote on real issues. But this gets it backwards. A referendum is a single yes or no question. It does not teach anyone how the government works, how budgets are made, or how policies are debated. What it does is invite whoever has the most money to run the biggest campaign for that one vote. Representative democracy, on the other hand, gives citizens an elected person who can question, petition, and hold accountable continuously on every issue for years, not just once. Panel, the opposition stated how there will be a transition period for about 2 years, but then the people that is still training the citizens are still representatives, so representative democracy is still being employed. Panel, the next argument you get from side opposition in this debate is representative democracy it does not really give power to the people. Yes, elite capture is a real problem in emerging democracies. We do not deny it. But here is the opposition must answer. How does moving to direct democracy fix this? If wealthy elites and political godfathers already dominate election campaigns, that same elite will dominate referendum campaigns soon, and on an even bigger scale, because now they need to fund a national campaign for every single law. Meanwhile, representative democracy actually has tools to fix this capture. Anti-defection laws. I'll take that later. Electronic transmission of results, independent electoral bodies, civil society monitoring. Direct democracy has none of these tools because there is no representative to reform it in the first place. Panel, the next argument you get from side opposition in this debate is representative democracy allows corruption because elections only happen every few years. The opposition argues that representatives can do whatever they want for years before facing the people again, and this breeds corruption and impunity. But this claim ignores everything that happens between elections. Representative democracy gives us tools for continuous accountability, parliamentary oversight committees, opposition parties whose job is to challenge the government every day, courts that can strike down bad laws, and a free press that investigates wrongdoing. Direct democracy has none of this. If a referendum passes a bad law, who do you question? Who appears before a committee? Nobody. Once the vote is counted, there is no one left to hold responsible. Panel, the last argument you get from side opposition so far in this debate is direct democracy is practical and working for emerging democracies. Panel, the second speaker from side opposition stated elections are held every year and 4 times with a 320 billion naira, while every 4 years is 355 billion naira. But if you compare this analysis, 320 billion naira times 4 is what? That is way bigger than 355 billion naira. Our model is already working. Changing it is making it even less cost effective. Running one credible national election in an emerging democracy already takes enormous resources, money, security personnel, technology, and logistics. We have seen cases where ballot papers arrive late, where biometric machine fails, where results take days to collate. Now imagine doing all of that not once every 4 years, but 4 times a year. But 4 times a year is simply not realistic. Representative democracy concentrates this enormous logistical body into one event, while direct democracy would require it constantly. I'll take your POI.
You said the system is already working. If truly the system is already working, why are we here debating this motion?
This motion is based on a new law that we are planning to pass out. It has not yet been implemented. So what we are proposing is what is a new system. It's an entirely new system. And that is why it is not already working. Panel, having done justice to my butters, I now move over to the 5 central clashes of this round. Firstly, on whose voice actually counts. on whose voice actually counts. Why we win this clash is, in an emerging democracy, the information gap is the deciding factor. A system that depends on every citizen understanding every law cannot claim to represent the people when most citizens cannot meet that standard. Our side reflects this reality. The opposition side ignores it. Secondly, the clash on power, elite, and accountability. Why we win this clash? This clash is about which system can correct itself. Representative democracy has built-in repair mechanisms. Direct democracy does not. A system that cannot fix its own flaws will not be able. We always beat a system that cannot. Panel, the next clash in this debate is on feasibility and stability. Why we win this clash is this clash matters most because the motion is specifically about emerging democracies. A system that cannot be run with the democracies and emerging democracy actually has not a real alternative. It's just a theory. The next class in this debate is on protection of minority rights. Why we win this class? Protecting minorities is one of the cultures of any democratic system. A system that exposes minorities to whatever the majority feels on a given day is more dangerous and more democratic. And the last class in this debate is which system can actually function in a country still building itself. Why we win this clash is saying every benefit the opposition claims for direct democracy only exists in a world that emerging democracies have not reached yet. Every weakness the opposition raises against representative democracy already has a real working fix inside the representative system, and that is why we win on this final clash. Yes, I will take your POI.
All right. From the beginning of the argument, you said for democracy to travel to kind of progress, we have to understand the concept, right? Give the citizens a clear understanding of the concept. But in your world, that understanding does not exist. But from the model given by my world, we already give a platform whereby these citizens are educated and informed. So don't you think that proves the devastating situation in your own world?
In our world, actually, there is education. Guess why? The reason why there is education is that we have already proposed a system where people vote for the parties, vote for people whose ideals line with them, who will now end up making those decisions for them. Panel, so how should this round be weighed? I believe the central question is not which system sounds more democratic in a textbook. The central question is which system actually functions inside the real conditions of an emerging democracies. Limited literacy, weak institutions, tight budgets, and fragile unity. On magnitude, representative democracy affects how every single law in the country is made and corrected. Direct democracy supposed benefits apply on the rare occasions of a referendum is held. Secondly, on reach, representative democracy creates accountability structures, courts, committees, opposition parties that protect every citizen every day. Direct democracy offers protection only at the moment of voting, and then nothing. On reversibility, mistakes made by representatives can be corrected through elections, courts, or internal party processes. Mistakes made through a referendum, once passed by majority vote, is way more harder to undo. So honestly, when you weigh this round, ask yourself one simple question: which system can actually survive being used in a country that is still building itself? Representative democracy can, direct democracy cannot. For all these reasons, this house must believe that representative democracy is preferable over direct democracy for emerging democracies. I am very proud to propose.
That was a wonderful presentation by top speaker, team proposition, that's White Cloud School, Ebonyi, Abakiliki. Now, I will call on the top speaker, team opposition from Government Secondary School, Lafia, Nasarawa State, for his presentation.
I start in 3, 2, 1. Panel, we are here to debate the future of our country, Nigeria, not to debate assumptions, exaggerations, and our emotions. The proposition came here to tell us that nobody can vote or make decisions, that anybody can vote or make decisions regardless of education, background in a representative democracy. But I ask you, according to Abraham Lincoln, democracy is government for the people, by the people, and to the people. So if it is only the educated that will take part in the decision making in democracy, then who is the democracy for? They also said in their speech that according to that indirect democracy, lawmaking will collapse. We all know that Switzerland practices direct democracy. According to my second speaker, Switzerland have only 4 languages and they are thriving as while practicing direct democracy, which means that if we practice direct democracy here in Nigeria, then our government will surely thrive. So I proceed with my argument. Panel, let me be extremely clear and precise from the start. The opposition is not abolishing representatives. We are not dissolving parliament. We are not replacing governance with chaos. Representatives still govern, provide expertise, and implement policy. Only difference is that citizens retain meaningful authority over major national issues. Hold it there. Therefore, whenever proposition frame this debate as expertise versus citizens, efficiency versus chaos, or order versus anarchy, they were debating a model we never proposed. The real question has always been this: in emerging democracies where institutions remain weak and accountability remains fragile, should democratic power belong primarily to representatives, or should citizens remain active stakeholders in decisions that shape their lives? Nothing more, nothing less. Panel, let's consider the first clash in this debate. The first and most important clash concerns accountability. Our first speaker demonstrated that representative democracy creates an accountability vacuum. Citizens vote, representatives govern, and citizens wait. Notice what proposition never answered. What happens between elections? When representatives make decisions, citizens fundamentally oppose. What is the remedy? Their answer was always some version of the same idea. Trust representatives, trust institutions, wait for the next election. But panel, emerging democracies, I imagine precisely, I'll get to that, precisely because those institutions remain weak and that trust is frequently abused. This is where proposition's case collapses. Their entire argument depends on representatives being sufficiently accountable. But if representatives were already sufficiently accountable, there would be no need for us to debate on this issue today. Opposition offers oversight. Proposition hopes representatives behave well. Opposition ensures they remain answerable. One side relies on goodwill, the other relies on democratic accountability. And accountability will always be preferable to hope. That is why opposition wins this first clash. Now let's consider the second clash in this debate. Democratic development. The second clash concerns how democracies become stronger. Proposition repeatedly argued that citizens lack expertise. But notice the contradiction, panel. The same citizens are trusted to elect presidents, governors, and legislators. The same citizens are trusted to decide who governs the country. Yet, proposition suddenly claims they cannot approve major decisions affecting their own lives. That argument cannot stand. Hold it there. Our second speaker showed that participation creates civic literacy. Responsibility creates engagement. Influence creates political maturity. People learn when their voices matter. People participate when they have ownership. Proposition's world produces passive citizens and active elites. Our world produces active citizens and accountable leaders. Panel, emerging democracies do not fail because citizens participate too much. They fail because citizens are too often excluded from after elections. The proposition develops representatives. We, the opposition, develop democratic citizens. This is why opposition still wins this clash. Now let's consider the third clash in this debate. Legitimacy and stability. The final clash concerns legitimacy and stability. Proposition repeatedly claimed that representative democracy is more stable than direct democracy, but they never proved why excluding citizens from major decisions somehow creates greater trust. Our team showed the opposite. Participation creates ownership. Ownership creates trust. Trust creates legitimacy. Legitimacy creates stability. Notice the difference between the two sides. Right. Proposition starts with stability and hopes legitimacy follows. We start with legitimacy and stability works out naturally. Citizens are more likely to respect decisions they helped to make than decisions imposed upon them. That is not merely a political argument. It is a democratic principle, and that is why opposition wins this third clash. Now, panel, here is why our world wins this debate. Now, judges, compare the two words. The best thing proposition gives you is efficiency. The best thing the opposition gives you is efficiency. The best thing opposition gives you is accountability, participation, and legitimacy. Even if we grant proposition every argument, they still lose this debate because a fast election is still a bad decision. A fast unaccountable system remains unaccountable. A fast government can still lose public trust. Our impacts are deeper because they transform the relationship between citizens and power. Our impacts are better because they strengthen democratic culture. Our impacts are more sustainable because institutions become stronger when citizens genuinely believe they own them. So panel, before this house votes, let me clean up the biggest misunderstanding and misconception proposition tried to create. At no point did we, the opposition, propose the abolition of representative government. Representatives still draft legislation. Representatives still govern. Representatives still provide expertise. Representatives still implement policy. Citizens do not replace them. Citizens do not replace representatives. Citizens supervise them on major national issues and decisions. Panel, the principle remains simple. Representatives propose, citizens approve. Representatives implement, citizens remain sovereign. We keep the strength of representation. We simply remove its greatest weakness, the accountability vacuum between elections. So panel, here's why you should vote with the opposition. Democracy is a promise that citizens matter, a promise that belongs to the people, a promise that government derives legitimacy from public consent. The proposition asks you to trust political elites with that promise. The opposition asks political elites to trust democratic citizens. One side concentrates democratic authority, the other protects democratic sovereignty. One side develops politicians, the other develops democracy itself. For accountability, for democratic development, for legitimacy, for the future of democracy itself. For these reasons, I urge this House to reject the motion. I beg to oppose and let this motion fall to have no stand. Thank you.
That was a wonderful presentation by top speaker team opposition government secondary school Lafia, Nasarawa State. Now call on the first speaker team proposition. Okay. Now call on first speaker team opposition. That's from government secondary school Shabu-Lafia for his reply speech.
Panel. During the course of proposition arguments, I heard something very much captivating. They told us this debate is about which system is more democratic and practical. And then it took me back to something that happened last week. I was in class when my chemistry teacher came and called me. Jonathan, call your mates, let's go to the lab room. And when we went there, we did not sit down for 4 years before we were able to analyze and evaluate the reaction of acid on blue litmus paper. So when we are talking about practical and theory here, what proves the efficiency of their own world where we sit down for 4 good years before we are able to demand and evaluate accountability? Panel, that proves the realism in our world under our model, under propositions realism. Now, I proceed. Today is the 12th of June, Democracy Day, and at the heart of everything said in this chamber today lies one question. Does this celebration demand we answer honestly? After 27 years of representative democracy in Nigeria, after 27 years of elected middlemen making decisions for 200 million citizens, is the democracy we promised ourselves? And the worst part is that this is not just happening in Nigeria, it's happening in many more emerging democracies. And the other question was that, is it still time to build something better? That is what this debate was really about. Not which systems look cleaner on paper, which systems actually serve the citizens of emerging democracies. Citizens still waiting for democracy to mean something real in their daily lives. Now, let me tell you what's actually happening in this debate. The president walked in and defended the status quo, and then saw so much is happening when their speaker, their top speaker precisely, came up to tell us that this debate is on their own world. They are implementing a new policy. But that does not portray what the motion suggests actually. Panel, they pointed at structure, they pointed at coordination, they pointed at critical functions of elected representative. What they never answered, not once, was why 27 years of that system in Nigeria alone, not talking of other emerging democracies, produced what Chatman House cause a fragile fluctuating democracy captured by a corrupt political class with dwindling participation and shrinking civil liberties. They defended the system. We diagnosed the failure. Panel, there were three major clashes that happened in this debate, and I'll show you why opposition won on all three. First, the clash of accountability. Proposition argued that representative provides structured expert governance. We proved that in emerging democracies, those representatives operate in a 4-year accountability vacuum that weak institutions cannot fill. The fuel subsidy removal in Nigeria, the finance bill uprising in Kenya, two emerging democracies panel, two moments where representatives were made decisions of devastating national consequence with zero citizen mandate. Proposition never dismantled these examples because they could not, and the mechanism is very clear. When institutions are too weak to control representatives between elections, citizens have no recourse. Direct democracy closes that gap structurally, not theoretically, panel, structurally. Now, the second clash, civic capacity. Proposition argued citizens in emerging democracies lack the capacity for direct democratic participation. We proved that representative democracy never builds that capacity. So what then are they arguing? Because it never required it. Not at all. Nigeria's 2023 election, 29% turnout, less than 1 in 3 citizens participated in the very system proposition is defending. Panel, that is not coincidence. That is what happens when you build a democracy that asks citizens to vote once and disengage entirely. Direct democracy makes civic engagement a system requirement. Switzerland proved the destination. Our model proved the pathway. NIN voting, USSD access, civic education strongly implemented in schools and other educational sectors. First implementation, proposition offered no mechanism for building civic capacity. We built one. That shows we definitely won on this clash. Now, the third clash, the reform question. Proposition answer to institutional failure is to reform democracy from within. We asked one question, they never answered. Who leads that reform? The same representative who removed fuel subsidy without a referendum are being asked to design a system that could have required them to hold one. The same politicians who benefit from the accountability vacuum are being asked to close it. Reform captured by what people it threatens is not reform, it is theatre. Panel, what is the voting issue in this debate? Strip every argument, every example, every statistics and ask one question. In an emerging democracy where institutions are still weak and representative are insufficiently constrained, which systems give citizens a fighting chance? What do we see on provision world? Citizens vote every 4 years and surrender their voice completely. Representatives decide, institutions fail to constrain. Democratic culture remains fragile because citizens' engagement is neither structurally required. Nigeria remains exactly where it has been for 27 years, and most other emerging democracies such as Kenya, Ghana, and the whole lot of them. But come to our own world, where citizens hold direct approval authority on decisions that govern their lives. Political literacy becomes a system requirement. Civic culture built from the ground up. Every referendum is a democratic education. Every citizen vote is a democratic investment in our world, not their own world. Panel, today Nigeria celebrates democracy, but we don't want to repeat such ordeal when other emerging democracies come to celebrate their own democracy. Because celebration without honesty is just noise. The honest truth is that the promise of the 12th of June has never been fully kept, not because democracy has failed. But because version of democracy in Nigeria was given, kept citizens as its audience instead of its authors. Direct democracy does not promise perfection, it promises authorship. It promises that the people whose life are governed by these decisions are the people who approve them. Panel, that promise on these of all days is worth defending, and that is why the opposition is proud to defend the best way out of the problem revolving the democratic circle of Nigeria and many other democratic emerging democratic institutions out there. And that is why I, Danjuma Jonathan Suleiman, I am proud to present the pathway to great democracy in Nigeria and other democratic sectors. Thank you. We probably negate this motion.
That was a wonderful presentation from first speaker team opposition GSS Shabu-Lafia. Now call on the first speaker team proposition from White Cloud School Ebonyi Abakaliki for a reply speech.
Okay. So my time starts in 3, 2, 1. Panel of judges, before I move on to my reply speech, I would like to point out a few things. The first speaker from side opposition talked about how technology enhances participation of citizens. Panel, I would like to point out that that is impractical for emerging democracies, because when we were speaking on our side of the house, we showed how emerging democracies are underdeveloped and underdeveloped digital infrastructure, meaning that this emerging democracies does not even have network, most likely does not have network stability. There's a high chance of online rigging, inability of internet connection in rural areas, making the field very open for electoral manipulation, like we talked about. But two, The model used for 27 years has not worked and has not been effective in any way. Our model has not been implemented and is not in the status quo. It is new, and it is not ideal for side opposition to start counting from the 90s. Our model is produced because the model that already exists in the status quo is ineffective. Now over to my reply speech. This debate ultimately comes down to one simple question. Which system gives emerging democracy the best chance not only to survive but to become stronger democracies over time? The opposition wants you to believe that direct democracy creates greater accountability because citizens vote on everything themselves. But throughout this debate, they never solve the fundamental problem. We identified from the beginning that emerging democracies are fragile. These are countries with weak institutions, political instability, ethnic division, corruption risk, limited administrative capacity. In such context, democracy's first responsibility is not perfection but survival. Now let's look at the major clashes that are occurred in this debate. Clash 1. Protecting democracy itself. Our side showed that representative democracy creates a permanent institutional buffer against authoritarian law. Elected representatives sit continuously in parliament, scrutinize government actions, and challenge executive outreach. The opposition's model gives only occasional votes. Between those votes, there is no standing body protecting democratic institutions. Their system assumes that citizens can constantly monitor government on every issue, but democracy cannot depend on constant public mobilization. It requires institutions. We win on that clash. Clash 2, decision making and capacity. Our second speaker explained that representative democracy allows specialization and careful lawmaking. Before bill becomes law, it goes through multiple stages of scrutiny. It is introduced and undergoes a series of reading from the first reading to the final approval. This process exists for a reason. It catches mistakes, it refines policies, and ensures expertise informs governance. Opposition wants every citizen to make decisions on every issue directly, but they never explain how populations that are still developing civic education, infrastructure, and political stability can realistically evaluate every complex policy question. Their system sounds empowering in theory, but representative democracy is what actually works. Clash 3, the clash on corruption and political accountability. The opposition tried to argue that direct democracy reduces corruption, but our side demonstrated that representative democracy already provides better and more realistic solutions. We proposed constitutional direct funding for electoral bodies such as INEC, multi-year funding cycles, independent budget preparation, protected election funds to strengthen democratic institutions. We proposed sanctions against political defection. Also, political defection to promote stability. We propose reducing these lawmakers' salaries, allowance, and stipends, and reducing the glory attached to their seats, and many more. Notice that all these reforms happens within representative democracy. Finally, let's look at the real world. Many successful emerging democracies, including countries like South Africa, India, Indonesia, Botswana, they are not perfect, but representative democracy has provided the maximum stability needed for democratic growth in such countries. With that, we are proud to propose. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that wonderful speech. We have come to the end of the 2026 Democracy Day Schools Debate Competition. If you listen attentively in our motions, everything about our motion is key on democracy, Nigerian democracy, and I can assure you that every speakers we have here, from our preliminary stages to this round, we are proud of them. I want to make this request to most states, some that did not win, or maybe that are aggrieved that they are not in the finals or whatever. Debate is never a do or die affair. From us from Britain Africa, we have continued to lay a lasting legacy on Nigerian schools debate. We are going down to the grassroots. We are the first ever organizers in Nigeria that is introducing digital debate, and we have been consistent about it. We are spending a lot of money. It's never easy to organize digital debate. It's costing us millions of naira, but we want to use it to reach out to the grassroots. And once we are doing this thing, we need your encouragement. When you lose, see it as a learning process. It's not ever a do or die affair. That's why our debates are online. When you watch your debate and you feel you are aggrieved, please go and watch it again without no emotions. When you watch it again, you will see that our adjudications have always been top notch. I know that it's not okay. Most people are not happy when they lose. For you to go all this way to this level, nobody will be happy to lose. Yes, even me, I hate to lose, but you need to also accept losing sometimes to make you to build your confidence. Nasarawa State, they are here. Last year debate we did, they did not even cross quarterfinals, but right now they are in finals. It shows there is a process. They went back. Of course, that last year they were aggrieved, but at least I'm happy that they are now in finals, because that last year they thought that they were not treated fairly, but right now they are in finals. And this thing should also be a lesson for everybody. When you lose, please go back to your team. Most of people are even coming back for the first time in debating, and you are in semi-finals. You should be proud of your children. And when you are bringing some of all those grievances, don't do it in front of these children. You are not teaching them a good moral. I, Mweke, Chibo, Joseph, have nothing to gain from anybody that will win. All I want is let the best team emerge. I've always been fair in this thing. I'm not a judge. I allow the CAP to take in their decisions. I'm saying this thing because I'm waiting for the judges to come up with their results, which I'm not in the next 10 minutes they should be ready. I'm saying this thing so that I can clear everybody about what we are doing. What we are doing is part of the learning process. Debate is one of the key aspects of quality education. It's a key aspect of child development, and we must continue to develop it without emotions. If you are part of our community and you are invited for a debate, please know that it's not a do or die affair. No, it's not a do or die affair. We have nothing to gain or to lose. All we want is to see these children celebrated on the global space. I want to say that I'm so proud of you people. Over the last 3 days, I've enjoyed your company. I've enjoyed your intelligence. It shows that you have a good coach. It shows that you have a good government that is supporting what you are doing. And I just spoke with your commissioner this morning. He's very proud of you people. I'm sure he has called your school director. I also spoke with your commissioner this morning, and he's also very proud of you people. And I want to assure you that your limit, you have not even entered your limit. By the next 2 years from now, you'll be proud of where you are going to. And I want you to know that what we are all doing is to give people the voice, the platform to become global stars. And I believe I've seen a lot of stars among you people. I want to encourage you to continue to do yourself proud. What we have here is a trophy and your gift, but it's never going to signify your innermost potentials. I want you to also cherish it with everything you have. And when you go back home, I'm telling you, please cherish your coach. You can't be this far without your coach. Always learn how to appreciate your coach. Don't believe that you do it all out of your own strength. Please, for other people that are out there, I want to also appreciate Matamabili's secondary school Moji. We have reviewed the results, the video online, to see if there is any reason for us to do a review, reverse the judgment from Abia that is contesting the result. But according to the panel that we set up, they say that the result is still unanimous. That means that what Abakiliki Secondary School Moji is going to go home with the third place winner of this year's edition of Democracy Day debate held in Abuja. So we watch for the judges to announce their results. Once they do their justification, we'll call our guests to hand over the trophy and also have some words of encouragement to you, and we'll call it a day. Thank you very much, and God bless you. So we'll play your video for viewers to watch your video. Thank you.
And I'm from White Cloud College, Abakaliki, Ebonyi State. Okay, so firstly, I'm very excited. We emerged as the finalists. I am very, very delightful. And the whole trainings, it has been so hectic, ranging from when we started the preliminary rounds, the online rounds, when we got disrupted by network, the way we had to struggle to come over to Abuja, and everything has been so hectic. But we thank God we emerged as the finalists, and I'm very, very happy. At this point, I'm not nervous in any way, and from what I know, my confidence level at this point, I think, is 7 out of 10. Yes, the school we are competing against tomorrow is going to be a challenge, but I trust what we can do after our trainings, we'll be able to deliver perfectly.
Hi, my name is Wanfo Kimberly, and I'm from White Cloud College, Abakiliki, Ebonyi State. I wouldn't say it's a secret. Well, it's just our trainings, and then looking back to see how many people are supporting and rooting for us, it just urges me to do more. Well, I'm very, very grateful to my school, because if not for them, we wouldn't have actually come here. So I'm really grateful to them, and it's because of them that we put in this much effort, because we want to make them proud. To train and practice, make sure that we perfect our speeches before the day and see what happens. I'm confident that we can win. I'm confident, but in a case where we don't win, I won't be that sad, because we're actually finalists, so we've made it this far.
I am Ogbonawanta Gold from White Cloud College, Abakaliki, Ebonyi State. Our coach has been a huge part for our success so far. Our coach has served as emotional support. He has trained us hectically, but we are obviously seeing results. He has been pushing us forward. He has been introducing us to new concepts. He has just made sure that everything in this, that we know that we are not alone. He has made sure that we know that we have people supporting us. He has made sure that we are confident and we are ready to take on the world. And without him, I don't think that we'll really be here. So, yes, I am very confident when it comes to my team. I feel like my team is a well-balanced team. However, even in a scenario where we don't win, we will take the loss. And being finalists is still being a huge deal. It's still a huge deal. So, getting this far is so exciting already. So if we even win the competition, that would even add to our excitement. The organization has been a great host. We have had a whole lot of experiences. We have met a whole lot of new schools. They have made sure that they have a holistic view of Nigeria. We have representation from every single part of Nigeria, and that just makes sure that everybody has a fair chance and fair shot at going to the finals, winning this competition. And the organization has been we have been so glad for the accommodation they have provided us, the feeding, everything has been top notch.
My name is Danjuma Jonathan Suleiman. I'm a student of Govt Secondary School, Shabu-Lafia, Nasarawa State. Well, I'm really pleased and so happy with myself, my team, my teammates, and my coaches. I've seen that we've put a lot of effort to seeing this whole success you've spoken of, and it's all as a result of the prices we paid. So I'm so much happy with all the work that we've done, and I'm so much pleased and proud of my team. Well, actually, this is a national debate. So as for me, I would say the opponent I'll be meeting tomorrow will be, or is the best debating team so far in Nigeria, because this is a national debate and tomorrow is a national finals. So for every standard I will put in preparation, I will put it in the way that I am preparing to face one of the tough toughest opponent I can ever find in Nigeria. Yeah, in as much as I'm optimistic and I so much believe in my team, but I do not also undermine my opponent because, as I said, I'm preparing to meet one of the best debating teams in Nigeria. So I believe that my team can put in all effort and we can put in all preparations necessary to see us at a victory at the finals. But notwithstanding, I still do not undermine the capabilities of my opponent. One word I will give to my coach, my commissioner, and even my governor at home is that I thank them so much for all that they have put to saying this success story of mine has come to become a realism. And then another word I'll give them is that for everything they have deposited, all the investment they have made, I'll try myself and my team to give our possible best and make them proud.
My name is Felix Baitauna. I'm from Govt Secondary School, Shabu-Lafia, Nasarawa State. When we started the competition, I was not too certain that I will make it to the final. My team will make it to the final. But with the help of God and trainings from my coaches, we've been able to emerge as finalists today. So I did not really see it coming. It was just the grace of God. I will not be too certain also, but God's willing, we shall surely win. That's if we put in more efforts. My opponents are another very strong team, and so I'm not trying to say my team is stronger than them. So anything that happens tomorrow, we take it with. Yeah, from the preliminaries, I love the judgment. If I'm to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate it at 7/10. That's for the judgment. And the organization here, the accommodation has been nice, the feeding and everything here. I think it's a great achievement for Bring It on Africa. I thank my governor, the commissioner, and my coaches, because if they had not put hands together to train us, then I don't think we'll be here today. And we give all glory to God.
My name is Peace Oluwafeifumi Ayo Ade, and I am from Govt Secondary School, Shabu-Lafia. I am confident that we can do well, but who gets to be the champion tomorrow will be determined by what goes on in tomorrow's round. Bring It On Africa has been and is still a very, very interesting competition for me to participate in. The debate topics are in-depth, the judges' analysis great, the accommodation here at the semi-finals wonderful, the feeding good, the students and other coaches from other teams wonderful. Bring It On Africa has been great and it's still being great. The stress, well, you know what happens when you have to prepare for 7 hours into the night, sometimes without sleep, sometimes feeling like what you've done is not good enough, pressure from here and there, but that's been good. It's part of the success story. I have to say a very big thank you to the state government. Shout out to Engineer A.A. Sule, shout out to our director, shout out to the principal of my school, shout out to my debate coaches, Mr. Cosmos and Mr. Dura, for the work they've put in for us to be here. Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for everything you are doing. Mr. Governor, thank you very much. Our director, thank you very much. We really appreciate your efforts and we look forward to your sponsorship, SARS. I watched their last presentation. They're a really good team. But with what they did, I think tomorrow's competition will be a good one. Heated, hot, but we could take the trophy.
Hey Nigerians, are you ready to embark on an educational journey like no other? Expand your horizon, ignite your curiosity, and unleash your potential beyond classroom. Welcome to Naija Educational TV.
Wait, what is this all about?
Naija Educational TV is not just a channel, it's an initiative brought to you by Bring It On Africa in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Education with a mission to provide inclusive and equitable quality education for all. Whether you're a student looking to enhance your learning or a parent concerned with what your ward watch, Naija Educational TV got you covered.
Dive into our fascinating shows like live debate, quiz, documentaries, and lots more, all aligned with the UNESCO agenda.
So why wait? Tune in to Naija Educational TV today by subscribing to our YouTube channel and follow us on all our social media platforms to be entertained. Hey Nigerians, are you ready to embark on an educational journey like no other? To expand your horizon, ignite your curiosity and unleash your full potential beyond classroom? Welcome to Naija Educational TV.
Wait, what is this all about?
Naija Educational TV is not just a channel, it's an initiative brought to you by Bringing on Africa in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Education with a mission to provide inclusive and equitable quality education for all. Whether you're a student looking to enhance your learning or a parent concerned with what your ward watch, Naija Educational TV got you covered.
Dive into our fascinating shows like live debate, quiz, documentaries, and lots more, all aligned with the UNESCO agenda.
So why wait? Tune in to Naija Educational TV today by subscribing to our YouTube channel and follow us on all our social media platforms to be entertained. Hey Nigerians, are you ready to embark on an educational journey like no other? To expand your horizon, ignite your curiosity and unleash your full potential beyond classroom? Welcome to Naija Educational TV.
Wait, what is this all about?
Naija Educational TV is not just a channel, it's an initiative brought to you by Bringing on Africa in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Education with a mission to provide inclusive and equitable quality education for all. Whether you're a student looking to enhance your learning or a parent concerned with what your ward watch, Naija Educational TV got you covered.
Dive into our fascinating shows like live debate, quiz, documentaries, and lots more, all aligned with the UNESCO agenda.
So why wait? Tune in to Naija Educational TV today by subscribing to our YouTube channel and follow us on all our social media platforms to be entertained. Hey Nigerians, are you ready to embark on an educational journey like no other? To expand your horizon, ignite your curiosity and unleash your full potential beyond classroom? Welcome to Naija Educational TV.
Wait, what is this all about?
Naija Educational TV is not just a channel, it's an initiative brought to you by Bringing on Africa in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Education with a mission to provide inclusive and equitable quality education for all. Whether you're a student looking to enhance your learning or a parent concerned with what your ward watch, Naija Educational TV got you covered.
Dive into our fascinating shows like live debate, quiz, documentaries, and lots more, all aligned with the UNESCO agenda.
So why wait? Tune in to Naija Educational TV today by subscribing to our YouTube channel and follow us on all our social media platforms to be entertained.
Okay, so firstly, I'm very excited we emerged as the finalists. I am very, very delightful. And the whole trainings, it has been so hectic, ranging from when we started the preliminary rounds, the online rounds, when we got disrupted by network, the way we had to struggle to come over to Abuja, and everything has been so hectic. But we thank God we emerged as the finalists, and I'm very, very happy. At this point, I'm not nervous in any way, and from what I know, my confidence level at this point, I think, is 7 out of 10. Yes, the school we are competing against tomorrow is going to be a challenge, but I trust what we can do after our trainings. We'll be able to deliver perfectly.
Hi, my name is Juan for Kimberly, and I'm from White Cloud College, Abakaliki, Ebonyi State. I wouldn't say it's a secret. Well, it's just our trainings, and then looking back to see how many people are supporting and rooting for us, it just urges me to do more. Well, I'm very, very grateful to my school, because if not for them, we wouldn't have actually come here. So I'm really grateful to them, and it's because of them that we put in this much effort, because we want to make them proud. To train and practice, make sure that we perfect our speeches before the day and see what happens. I'm confident that we can win. I'm confident, but in a case where we don't win, I won't be that sad, because we're actually finalists, so we've made it this far.
I am Govt from White Cloud College, Abakaliki, Ebonyi State. Our coach has been a huge part for our success so far. Our coach has served as emotional support. He has trained us hectically, but we are obviously seeing results. He has been pushing us forward. He has been introducing us to new concepts. He has just made sure that everything in this, that we know that we are not alone. He has made sure that we know that we have people supporting us. He has made sure that we are confident and we are ready to take on the world. And without him, I don't think that we'll really be here. So, yes, I am very confident when it comes to my team. I feel like my team is a well-balanced team. However, even in a scenario where we don't win, we will take the loss. And being finalists is still being a huge deal. It's still a huge deal. So, getting this far is so exciting already. So if we even win the competition, that would even add to our excitement. The organization has been a great host. We have had a whole lot of experiences. We have met a whole lot of new schools. They have made sure that they have a holistic view of Nigeria. We have representation from every single part of Nigeria, and that just makes sure that everybody has a fair chance and fair shot at going to the finals, winning this competition. And the organization has been we have been so glad for the accommodation they have provided us, the feeding, everything has been top notch.
My name is Danjuma Jonathan Suleiman. I am a student of Govt Secondary School Shabu-Lafia, Nasarawa State. Well, I'm really pleased and so happy with myself, my team, my teammates, and my coaches. I've seen that we've put a lot of effort to seeing this whole success you've spoken of, and it's all as a result of the prices we paid. So I'm so much happy with all the work that we've done, and I'm so much pleased and proud of my team. Well, actually, this is a national debate. So as for me, I will say the opponent I'll be meeting tomorrow will be, or is the best debating team so far in Nigeria, because this is a national debate and tomorrow is a national finals. So for every standard I will put in preparation, I will put it in a way that I am preparing to face one of the toughest opponents I can ever find in Nigeria. Yeah, in as much as I'm optimistic and I so much believe in my team, but I do not also undermine my opponent, because as I said, I'm preparing to meet one of the best debating teams in Nigeria. So I believe that my team can put in all effort and we can put in all preparations necessary to see us at the victory at the finals. But notwithstanding, I still do not undermine the capabilities of my opponent. One word I will give to my coach, my commissioner, and even my governor at home is that I thank them so much for all that they have put to saying this success story of mine has come to become a realism. And then another word I'll give them is that for everything they have deposited, all the investment they have made, I'll try myself and my team to give our possible best and make them proud.
My name is Felix Bajauna. I'm from Govt Secondary School Shabu-Lafia, Nasarawa State. When we started the competition, I was not too certain that I'll make it to the final. My team will make it to the final. But with the help of God and trainings from my coaches, we've been able to emerge as finalists today. So I did not really see it coming. So it's just the grace of God. I will not be too certain also, but God's willing, we shall surely win. That's if we put in more efforts. my opponents are another very strong team. And so I'm not trying to say my team is stronger than them. So anything that happens tomorrow, we take it with. Yeah, from the preliminaries, I love the judgment. If I'm to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate it at 7 over 10. That's for the judgment. And the organization here, the accommodation has been nice, the feeding and everything here. I think it's a great achievement for Bring It on Africa. I thank my governor, the commissioner, and my coaches, because if they are not put hands together to train us, then I don't think we would be here today. And we give all glory to God.
My name is Peace Oluwafeifumi Ayo Ade, and I am from Government Secondary School, Shabu-Lafia. I am confident that we can do well, but who gets to be the champion tomorrow will be determined by what goes on in tomorrow's round. Bring It On Africa has been and is still a very interesting competition for me to participate in. The debate topics are in-depth, the judges' analysis great, the accommodation here at the semi-finals wonderful, the feeding good, the students and other coaches from other teams wonderful. Bring It On Africa has been great and is still being great. The stress, well, you know what happens when you have to prepare for 7 hours into the night, sometimes without sleep, sometimes feeling like what you've done is not good enough, pressure from here and there, but that's been good. It's part of the success story. I have to say a very big thank you to the state government. Shout out to Engineer A.A. Sule, shout out to our director, shout out to the principal of my school, shout out to my debate coaches, Mr. Cosmos and Mr. Dura, for the work they've put in for us to be here. Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for everything you are doing. Mr. Governor, thank you very much. Our director, thank you very much. We really appreciate your efforts and we look forward to your sponsorship, SARS. I watched their last presentation. They're a really good team. But with what they did, I think tomorrow's competition will be a good one. Heated, hot, but we could take the trophy.
Hey Nigerians, are you ready to embark on an educational journey like no other? To expand your horizon, ignite your curiosity and unleash your full potential beyond classroom? Welcome to Naija Educational TV.
Wait, what is this all about?
Naija Educational TV is not just a channel. It's an initiative brought to you by Bring It On Africa in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Education with a mission to provide inclusive and equitable quality education for all. Whether you're a student looking to enhance your learning or a parent concerned with what your ward watch, Naija Educational TV got you covered.
Dive into our fascinating shows like live debates, quiz, documentaries, and lots more, all aligned with the UNESCO agenda.
So why wait? Tune in to Naija Educational TV today by subscribing to our YouTube channel and follow us on all our social media platforms to be entertained. Hey Nigerians, are you ready to embark on an educational journey like no other? To expand your horizon, ignite your curiosity and unleash your full potential beyond classroom? Welcome to Naija Educational TV.
Wait, what is this all about?
Naija Educational TV is not just a channel. It's an initiative brought to you by Bring It On Africa in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Education with a mission to provide inclusive and equitable quality education for all. Whether you're a student looking to enhance your learning or a parent concerned with what your ward watch, Naija Educational TV got you covered.
Dive into our fascinating shows like live debates, quiz, documentaries, and lots more, all aligned with the UNESCO agenda.
So why wait? Tune in to Naija Educational TV today by subscribing to our YouTube channel and follow us on all our social media platforms to be entertained. Hey Nigerians, are you ready to embark?
Hi, my name is Shabu-Lafia Jennifer, and I'm a very proud student of St. John Vianney Science College, Ukula, Anambra State. I am very elated to have this opportunity to be able to represent Team Nigeria at the World Schools Debating Championship, soon to be held in Kenya next month or next 2 months. I'm very excited to show the world what Nigerian youths have been preparing for, how we have been practicing, and to show the world the capabilities of students in West Africa, especially Nigeria as a country. I'm very happy, proud, and then excited to show off my skills and to represent my state, Anambra State, at the global level. Thank you. But if you want to go for something that is on a global stage, it obviously has to be tough, very difficult. We have to cross and surpass a lot of boundaries, right? A lot of steps that we have to go through. We have to climb a lot of stones, we have to climb a lot of hills, a lot of mountains. There has been challenges, obviously, but at the end of the day, I'm just trying to have a lot of fun, be myself, improve in every single way, and then make sure this is a memorable experience for me. Yes, I do believe that I am a very great stakeholder for Team Nigeria, not to brag by the way, but I do believe that my presence on the country's team will take Team Nigeria a long way in the World Debating Championship. Well, I am a bit anxious, not to lie, but then again, if you have prepared well enough for something, there's no real reason to be scared. So at the end of the day, I believe with enough preparations and then with the strength of my team, me and my teammates, and the effort that our coaches are putting into this, when we go there, they'll be on the same level as we are. To our director, our daddy, Father Emmanuel Obima Chibuzo, Emmanuel Ebibimonso, we would like to say a very, 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 very big thank you for all you have done for us, for supporting our dreams, our aspirations, for always standing firmly behind us. Thank you for your support, not just financially, emotionally, spiritually, every single way possible. Thank you for always being our big daddy, and thank you for continuing to support us. And we pray that God in His infinite goodness and mercy will continue to give you the courage, the strength that you need to keep doing these good works.
Hello, my name is Abakiliki Catherine Amarachi, and I'm a proud member of St. John Vianney Science College in Ukulu, Anambra State. Well, the answer to those questions are yes and yes. In fact, nothing gives me greater joy than to actually be a part of such a big point in history where Nigeria is actually going to take the global stage in WSTC. I feel so proud of myself and I feel so proud of my school for actually in nurturing us so we can be able to have these kind of opportunities and showcase our talents across the stage. To be honest, yes, I do, because confidence is key. We've been working so hard, like tirelessly for months, and I see no reason why we shouldn't win. Well, as the saying goes, good things don't always come easy. Yes, training has been, while it's been blissful at times, sometimes the true weight and pressure sometimes takes its toll on us. We can get tired, we can get overstressed, but the main part is we're always pushing forward to achieve that greater goal of showing the world what Nigeria is truly made of. Our Father.
Am I audible? Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead, we can hear you, please.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Find team me that was the proposition side, and the team from Nasarawa State Lafia that was the opposition side. On panel with me, I had Kelechi Obum and okay Silas, and myself is Chidima Grace as chair. This was quite the wonderful finals, and it's been quite lovely. All members of panel that have been judging this competition for the past weeks and days. We deeply appreciate all the schools that participated, and to those who made it further to the outrounds. You're all winners, and we are all very incredibly proud of your performance at this competition. And good luck to you all. Regardless of however this final turns out, both of you already have exciting incentives and competitions to look forward to. There's always room for development and there's always room for growth. So regardless of the outcome, wish you the very best from members of panel and CAP. So we had as the topic for this finals that we believe that as that representative democracy is most preferable to direct democracy for emerging democracies as countries that are coming out of that are still that democracy is still emerging within their territory. That was the set of the debate, and after much deliberation, and the panel came to a unanimous decision. All three members of the panel agreed at first instance. This particular finals are the team on little suspense, breathe, breathe. Okay. The team on the proposition side. Congratulations, White Cloud Academy. So moving over to the justification now. Why are we having the team on the proposition side as the champions for today? A couple of things here. The first thing that the panel was looking for was for us to see and understand what an emerging democracy is and why exactly we are having a conversation as to how the right part of democracy they are supposed to practice, representative or direct. In this debate, we got two different, unique, and beautiful models from both sides as to why one should be preferred over the other. But what all teams did agree on, using the settings coming from proposition side, is that this is a new democracy, probably a country came out of authoritarianism, coup, or like simply a country that democracy is still new within its territory and they're trying to set up their systems and structure to add to that particular type of system in themselves. So likewise, what do we recommend for that particular country as a system of democracy that could work for them in a particular regard? And we did get some examples as to what exactly this could look like and what exactly the counterfactual could look like as in terms of implementation. So what ran throughout the debate? First, let's start with the policy of implementation. What is the implementation policy? Representative democracy in of itself works for this particular individual is that one. Characterizing so there's a need for ability to exist. Representative democracy enable characteristics of executive institutional relevant where there may be periods of extremity. They say representative for things like amendment and sanctions on individuals who abuse power, and also creates room for things like re-election and removal of bad individuals novices from powers of different positions of authority. That means, in this particular regard, when we understand the situation of this particular country, representative democracy for them because of the structured institution it provides and also the layers of contribution that can actually create room for a restraint on the relapse system that might occur. That is when the system on obviously might have certain issues because it's an unstable one, so that there could be some level of buffer mechanisms created so that it doesn't react into an like a more unstable situation beyond what it was before. This is their policy. What is the policy we get from opposition side as democracy looks like and why that is principally justified? We get the premise from opposition to say that democracy in of itself makes sense when individuals are involved. And for an imagined democracy of itself, which is unstable structure, it doesn't make sense for us to create something that requires structures that do not exist. It makes sense for us to allow individuals who are existing in that country take up responsibility for themselves and fix their nation by actually including them in governance. And they say that they do this means they talk about one the proposal of itself that represents it is just that citizens get to evaluate certain strategic decisions that affect overall national interests. Secondly, in terms of things like creating of quotas as to how the population in of itself get to vote and how many of it is now being in contention is the galvanization of support to make decisions on what those policies will look about things like referendum, which will occur on a yearly interval. That they give example of Switzerland and what happens there. This is much better to in fact check the policies that are implemented in the system as opposed to waiting for things like 4 years or an election period before somebody who is elected and stuff has not done well or is capable of doing well. The probability scale is very slim, and I think that for an emerging democracy, we want something very swift and want something to the kind and needs of the people. What was now the prioritization for the panel? The panel prioritized two things. One, the realistic implementation of one policy to the other, and then secondly, what would best work in terms of effectiveness, in terms of the setting of the debate. Meaning that the realities in of this of most of these democracies is best responded to from the proposition side. Why do we say so? We think that one, the questions that opposition in of itself brings out to respond to the policy model, which brings their counter model in of itself, that sensitive decisions in terms of national interest is what individuals themselves will have to evaluate, but representatives in of itself will still exist, means that they still rely on the representative system for some level of effective measure. So there is no need from us as a panel to reasonably believe that direct democracy is the practice in its purest state. And secondly, on terms of the quota system, in terms of how that will be shared alongside the population, I think that falls into the trap already created by proposition to respond on the fact that how individuals now agree on certain decisions and how would they make informed choices, especially when it comes to the diversity of most of the societies and how they exist. And then lastly, on the concept of referendum and how innovative is more effective than elections and other, we get like effective responses from proposition to show how yearly referendums, even if they are cheaper, is still cost accumulating as opposed to waiting to plan for an election that is coming for 4 years or 2 years interval. And we think that it makes a lot of sense, especially when we're looking at the country of itself, as characterized by the first speaker of proposition that their economy is in shambles and there's a lot of instability and they're still trying to build afresh. So it's a lot of burden to create. Even if there's going to be like a transitioning period, it's still going to take some level of representation before that transitioning period in of itself becomes effective. Secondly, on how the policy of itself is going to be effective, apart from the realistic part, we think that in terms of effectivity, implementation on opposition side looks very, very detailed as to what they want to achieve. But in terms of effectiveness, we think that proposition is more convincing as to how their policy is more effective, especially when they talk about the buffers that exist within the representatives there to curb things like authoritarianism. Note that, of course, example in this debate, it's already at some level of focus Nigeria as an emerging democracy. We think that even if that is true, we think that the spirit of the debate speaks of the concept of a society that is coming out of probably a chaos within their system, and now democracy in of itself is being introduced. So the conversation is, what would you like refer to this party? What do you recommend? Is it a representative democracy or a direct democracy? We think that like in that particular context, propositions what best responds to the practical and effective needs of this individual and how things are going to play out for them in terms of sustainability. Now, moving over to the principles, we got a couple of principles to justify why this is true. On the proposition side, we get the first principle in of itself, the principle that institutions will exist to prevent certain things like relapse and a constant fallback to destabilization, which is what emerging democracies are prone to. They're prone to be destabilized and stable, meaning that probably maybe using Nigeria as an example for the debate is not something that we bought from the panel because we are practicing representative democracy, and probably we are kind of like characterized as an emerging democracy because democracy is new here, but we have not relapsed back into chaos or disaster. Democracy has been here, and like our democracy is like 27 years old or 26 years old today. So probably talking about a society that likelihood of them, if not like likelihood of the democracy, if not properly fixed for their society, going to lead to like a prominent disaster because we're talking about a situation where it's a new thing, like a fresh new state, which is the requirement of the debate for both sides for them to engage in a particular regard. So the first principle now talk about the preventive mechanism why those institutions existing considered as a stronghold for them to at least withstand any form of challenge that might come into their new type of governance that they have introduced within this particular society. What is the principal counterfactual from the opposition side? Opposition claims that representative democracy creates middlemen between people and government, and this is harmful, especially for a society that has weak structures. They talk about things like accountability, elites, and godfathers calling the shots in a system. If representative democracy is the call of the day, that direct democracy obviously makes more sense because there's some level of dilution. Cool and fine. But we think in this particular regard, there is some level of explanation and premise from proposition side to say that at the point where these individuals have been able to actually have a mandate to fix the society, there is some principal inclination for them to actually do what is right for their society in a particular regard, which is also kind of like the principle that opposition was trying to run. But what if we now prioritize? In that particular regard, the middleman system in of itself, of course, is a problem based on the current examples of systems that we have that the opposition tries to run with their examples. But even if that is true, we think that proposition side best explains why, in that particular regard, that inclusivity of itself and the mandate of actually including every single person in the society, especially with the kind of societies that we're talking about, becomes extremely important for specialized individuals to ensure that they sustain that particular system. Even if middlemen exist, we think that their modeling of itself gives us alternatives that this particular society can use to keep those people in check. Now, note this harm exists on both sides, right? So we do get some level of buffer from propositions model, but then we ask ourselves a question as the panel. On opposition side, this problem still exists, these middleman issues and these individuals that call the shots. Even if people are directly imparting the decisions to some extent, if they say that those representatives still exist, control the power that they hold on the population and the power that they hold on the information they will use to make those decisions. We think that those questions were not clearly answered in their policy. It made the policy of itself again weak on the side of effective implementation. Secondly, the next principle that clashed in the debate is one of the reductivity of division in the population, which came from proposition side, and then secondly, on the concept of direct democracy coming from opposition side, leading to this like civil education on what exactly is going on in the country. On proposition side, they say of a population that exists within this type of setting to have diverse opinion as to how the country should be run and what is better, it's most likely going to cause a clash of interest at the end of the day. So basically, it's much better for individuals to campaign and people select individuals who they trust that can collaborate all these particular interests and put it into one national goal to avoid a further issue of their democracy having a problem. On opposition side, they say that civil education is something that they want to promote because they feel like it is unfair for individuals who have fought for this their democracy to be given back to the people and emerging democracy for them not to be included. It is much better for them to be informed because that in that particular way we promote civil education. A question comes from proposition side, which the panel also consider. We ask ourselves, in terms of ensuring for proper citizen inclusion, to what extent does a referendum like translate to a much better national interest protection and a much better national growth implementation, a much better national economic implementation? We think that even if people are included, the strength to which that in of itself equates to growth or progress, we don't see clearly coming from the opposition model to sustainably convince us. But on our proposition side, we do get some level of like why committees, individuals of itself that will be elected, individuals that contributed to this emerging democracy that have the best interest of the people at heart will be selected, handpicked to occupy most of these positions and ensure that the national interest is protected. On their side, the likelihood of like large long-term impact on the citizens is more visible than what we get on the opposition side that just prioritizes civil education but doesn't actually give us the overall impact on the necessary good on the national good level. The last clash and the last principles in terms of So the last clashing of itself, of itself coming from what wording of itself allows for sustainability and long-term growth in a particular regard, especially on the question of what is now the state of these people's democracy and in what would we further ensure that there's long-term growth in a particular regard. And then the next clash coming from the next clash coming from the opposition side is in what word in of itself do we prevent the harms that comes out of representative democracy, especially in issues of corrupt negligence, democracy like representative democracy. I think on that particular note, we did understand from the proposition's argument that both sides, and I think this is a concession from both teams, that both types of democracy have benefits, advantages, and disadvantages. And we do understand that in an overall instance, there could be some world where this in of itself, direct democracy works for these people and representative democracy works for them, or vice versa. But at the end of the day, what we did prioritize in the regard, the harms that have been highlighted from either side, if we that have been set out, especially when it serves like a blueprint given to a country to implement at the point where they are now introducing a new system. What blueprint best responds to one, how it is effective, we've already interrogated why problems harms they are likely to come out. On opposition side, we are able to understand as a panel that even where direct democracy occurs, there are still some issues as to how this information is going to be passed, as the population is best able to be guided, as to how innovative on the large majority of instances we are still able to control some level of influence on the population, even if people know what's best for them, because that's generally what we get as an assertion from the opposition side, versus the proposition side that actually tries to balance the scale within the harms and benefits that might come out on their word by actually creating the structures that could lead to a much better democracy by showing how representative democracy can work for these people and how they could learn from the failures of probably some countries like Nigeria and implement certain mechanisms that could ensure in the future that even if representative gives them benefit, the harms of the state doesn't come biting them back in the neighbor. So in terms of long-term progressivity as to how it curbs the harms, we think even if those harms comes out of proposition side was best able to ensure how some step could be given to corruption by this particular society if they include it and extend it in their constitutional amendments and all of those things to ensure that they still have the sustainability to enjoy from the progress of representative democracy, showing clearly that they are what best caters for the needs and interests of an emerging democracy. Justifiably, representative democracy is best for them. So that is the justification for the call. Thank you all so much for having us on panel. Congratulations to the winning team. Good night.
Before I before I go ahead, I want to appreciate you, Nasarawa. No, I hope you're not crying. No, I'm seeing. Are you sure? Okay, okay. All right. So please, we in debate, we are friends in agreement. So I want us to do what we do. Can we go and exchange pleasantry? Everybody gets up and greet yourself and appreciate each other. We are all friends in agreement. Yes, that's the spirit of debate. We are all learning, so all right. So they can now sit down. So the coach, the coach come and Nasarawa coach come and greet White Crown School. Why Crown coach go and exchange pleasantly with Nasarawa team. All right, that's good. All right, so this is what we do in debate. It's not a do or die affair. It's all part of learning. For you to have gone this far means that you are already champion. The only thing that one thing about that one person must win, but you're already a champion. I want to appreciate you, Jonathan. You are good, right? You are good, and I want to appreciate Peace and what's your name? Right, yes, I want to appreciate you for everything. So before we do the handover, before we hand over the trophy, I would like to call our guest. She's a young lady, a public speaker, a compere, a very professional compere, and also a passionate young lady who is eager to change lives through public speaking and mentorship. I want to call Priscilla to come and join me as we do the trophy handover ceremony. She's going to hand over the trophy to the second place winner, while I hand over the trophy to the champions. After then, we'll take a picture. We'll take a good picture, and you can take as much pictures as you want to take. We're going to upload them as soon as by tomorrow. The internet will not rest for 1 week. The space will not rest. Everywhere, picture. All right. So can we just Priscilla, can I see you? All right. Thank you. So Priscilla is one lady I respect so much here in Abuja. I've known her for some time, and I can tell you that she's coming. All right. So Priscilla, I want you to, before you hand over this, how do you see this debate? You have been here since the debate started. So what is your observations? If there's need for us to improve, I also want to hear the improvement. If you are okay with the level of innovations you are seeing here, I just want to tell us what you see about these young ones and about the competition you have watched so far. Thank you.
Thank you very kindly, the Chief Executive Officer of Bring It On Africa, for this commendable initiative. I want to congratulate you all, amazing speakers. You see, Simon Sinek said that the goal is not to be perfect in the end. The goal is to be better tomorrow. You challenge yourself to speak. You're breaking a limitation. You're pushing yourself beyond your comfort zones. So I urge you all to keep speaking. Don't relent. To Government Secondary School Shabu-Lafia, Nasarawa State, please let's celebrate them. Let's put our hands together for them. And also to the White Cloud College, please let's celebrate them also. You have done amazingly well. And you see, this would not be possible without your leadership. The governors, the commissioners, and of course your school directors. Let's celebrate them also. And very importantly, let's put our hands together for Bring It On Africa for this initiative. Thank you very kindly. So as a multiple award-winning public speaker, I must commend you for the meticulousness in organizing this debate. Firstly, I must say that the confidence level is top-notch. You would agree with me that they spoke like authorities. You were speaking as though you were governors yourselves. You were ministers yourself, because it was not from a second person perspective, but from a lived experience. And that is indeed quite commendable. I liked the fact that your speeches had backgrounding. You had facts, you had statistics, you embodied what you were saying. And that is truly, truly mind-blowing. Well done. And also, because I'm an inclusion advocate, I must say thank you to the directors of the school for making this an inclusive affair. It wasn't just the boys, but you could see clearly that we had both the girls and the boys, and this is what leadership should be about: diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this is also commendable. Well done. What could you have done differently? Yes, while the judges had already laid out the criteria, for the basis of the judgment, what I would have had you do more is, I realized that you had a lot of your speeches written down. While that is good for falling back to, in case you miss your point, I would recommend that subsequently you get to add a bit of you. There should be times where you speak for a period of time without getting to look at the paper or the tablet or whatever device that you are holding onto, because of course you're Nigerians, you're part of democracy, and this should be embodied in your speech. And also when you're speaking, you're Nigerians, of course you're speaking democracy from a lived experience, so it's very important that you add a bit of your experience into what you're saying so that it's relatable. Yes, it's a debate, however there is no debate without you sharing your own experience as to your point of view that you are actually debating, especially when you are when you have a lived experience from that topic that you're speaking. But in all, I must say that it's a well thought out, well planned, thoughtfully planned debate. I love the fact that it wasn't just the regular Zoom meeting or Zoom platform. This is actually a television setting that gives you the real experience of what communicating on screen looks like, and not just the makeshift method of having a digital debate competition. So I must commend your schools, your coaches. Kudos, well done, our coaches. Thank you for not just grooming these young leaders. Thank you for having a part of you inside of them. You have no idea what you do in the lives of these young leaders until in about 5-10 years, where you get to see them soaring really high. And we want to say thank you. Thank you also to the directors and the principals. Thank you to the governors. Thank you to Bring It On Africa, to everyone who has made this a success. And I want to say once again, congratulations to both schools and every other schools that have pushed themselves out to ensure that their students leave their comfort zone to become exceptional speakers, because that is what you all are. And I must say, well done once again.
All right. I want to also appreciate the Federal Minister of Education and the Honorable Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, for the support so far he has been giving to this NGO. If not because of the collaborations and partnership we have with the Minister of Education, we can't have gone this far. So I want to specially thank the Honorable Minister for his passion, his policies that is trying to bring in to the education sector to give our education system a new facelift. I want to appreciate the Honorable Minister. I want to say that what the level we have gone is all because of your input and your support. So that's without I would like to let us try and hand over the trophy so everybody can go, because it's already late. So the coaches, you can come and join, and the other debater, so everybody can come in here and come.
So while we're waiting for the coaches, I would like to introduce myself properly. Mr. Chibo. I am Chinenye Priscilla Anemena, the founder of the Young Communicators Initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I dedicate this trophy to every Nigerian children who is going to be for his or her voice to be heard. I dedicate this trophy to every girl child and every boy child in Nigeria. I dedicate this trophy to all the lovers of education and all the lovers of debate. We will always conquer with debate. And I want to personally hand over the trophy to our champions. This is not easy. This is not easy. When you hold this trophy, hold it with care. You know what you passed through to be here. This trophy, let it always be a remembrance that what you came, you saw, and you conquered. Congratulations. I want to hand over the trophy to, personally, I want to hand over the trophy to you. You can now hand over to us. So you can come here. So this is trophy. Alright, so so everyone can now come and join now. Alright, so these are the champions of the 2026. Yes. Alright, so no, she's getting us. Alright. So these are champions. Champions. Alright. Let the party begin. Alright, thank you very much. And